everybody, it's Wendy Abruzzini from pinkcollaronline.com. Today I've brought Adam into our video because we have an amazing success story that both of us just couldn't wait to share with you. Now, full disclosure, Adam is my husband, but he went through the Pink Collar Online program and he had an amazing success story that he wanted to share with you guys. He did not get any special treatment from me. I gave him the standard coaching. We went through the activities. I asked him the tough questions, and he's here today to show just how much the Pink Collar Online program worked for him. So Adam, say hi, wave to the camera, everybody.
Hello. My name's Adam. I'm Wendy's husband.
And he's a handsome stud, isn't he?
Well, of course.
I did well, didn't I? So Adam, what happened recently?
I got a new job and I'm excited.
Yes, he got a new job. Amazing. And
Took 2 years of work.
it took 2 years. 2 years to really find something that was in alignment with his values. And not only that, but monetary compensation as well. What happened on the monetary compensation level?
I more than doubled my salary, which is awesome.
Yay, good.
I'm still in shock. I'm in shock, but I'm very happy.
It hasn't worn off quite yet, has it?
It hasn't settled in, no.
It's amazing. Well, let's talk a little bit about his backstory, because I think it's really important for you to understand where he's coming from and some of the hurdles and struggles that he went through. We're both going to walk through it a little bit, but I want everybody to know that this was years in the making. Adam and I lived in Southern California, and a couple years ago we decided that Southern California was a little too expensive, a little too crowded, so we both relocated to Pennsylvania. Well, I'm fortunate because I got to keep my job. I can work from anywhere, but Adam had to sacrifice his rather lucrative career in order to make the move. And that in and of itself, it's not easy. Would you agree?
It's scary. I mean, we had to think about it, and we had to do the numbers and how much money were we going to be making. And kind of the final straw, the last straw for us, was in Southern California. Our rent went from $1,600 a month to $2,100, and that was it. We were done. Yeah. So we basically realized that even off 2 good incomes, we just didn't have the lifestyle we wanted in Southern California. There's just too much traffic, too many people, very competitive environment in the workplace, and it was hard to leave, but it's the best decision we could have made. Yeah, definitely, financially and mentally as well. And it's really hard for somebody, especially somebody like you who works really hard and who takes pride in your job performance, to leave a career that paid him the salary that he had, but also, something he had invested in, and that's a rather difficult decision to make. For me, it was really easy, but he literally had to give up his career to make the move. And that was something that he had to cope with as part of the process. Well, we moved to a place that didn't have the same job market as Southern California did. And not only that, so jobs sort of felt really scarce here, but the salaries aren't going to match the Southern California salary because the cost of living is a lot cheaper. And so that was something that you had to mentally deal with as well. I mean, how did that feel? Well, it was tough because, I thought it'd be easy because we moved to State College, near Penn State. And even, I want to go back a little bit. We didn't just jump out here on a whim. I was already applying for jobs back in Southern California, looking for work out here. And I was a good 6 months I was looking for jobs and hadn't found anything. When I got here, my first job was at a grocery store. I mean, you had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then my second job was through a temp agency, and they placed me at Penn State. So it was literally kind of, I don't want to call it a rat race, but when you start over, you start over. Your college degree, all that stuff, it matters, but in a new location, you have to start from the bottom again. You have to use those skills to find a new job. So,
and even though you were placed at Penn State, you still didn't even get a job, a full-time job there at Penn State. It was always through the temp agency. And so over the last couple of years, he's really bounced around a little bit, trying to find a job that was in alignment with his values, but also financially. And that's hard. That's a struggle to deal with and to go through for as long as you did. And I wanted to get your opinion.
Sure.
How was the job search for you? I mean, he eventually got a position where, and I think that gave you some skills and, you know, really gave you some foundational skills that you could build off of. But what was it like? If
you don't mind, there's one simple word for the job search: frustration. It's frustrating. It's difficult. It's hard. You know, at the end that's going to be rewarding, but in order to get that yes, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but there's going to be a lot of no's. And there's a lot of no's. So you just have to be patient and just keep trying, and just once you get that yes, it's worth it.
Right.
But you can't give up and you can't stop. And that's, I think, what kind of helped or what kind of hurt me is before, you know, the advice from Wendy, I would get a little momentum, I'd get an interview or two, and then I would stop. I would get a little momentum and then I would stop. It's hard to build momentum when you're already tired working at another job. It's how do you fit that time in your day to do what needs to happen to actually find a job.
Right.
It's not easy. It's tough.
Right. It's not easy. And you have to hustle. I mean, you really, really do. And Adam was telling me not too long ago, it's kind of like a numbers game. But once he came to me for some help, asked for some help, I think we were able to really build a strategy for you. And once we approached it with a plan, with some planning to get you to that next level and to take the agony out of the job search. I feel like that's sort of what I do, is I try and when I work with people, to take the agony out of the job search, because I've been there. I know how crummy it is. I was, you know, doing the same thing he was, staying up till midnight, trying to go through jobs and sift through what's quality. And I really started to admire you, because once we strategized, once we had those coaching conversations and those difficult conversations, you really got your momentum going.
And I have a quick point to add. I'm stubborn. I mean,
Yeah,
I am stubborn. And it's a positive, but being stubborn is not a good thing to have when you're doing a job search. You have to listen. You have to adapt. You have to listen to someone that knows what they're talking about. I was not good at finding a job. I thought I was not. That's why after 2 years, I was still struggling. And, you know, once I listened and went through the program and the steps and, you know, had someone help me out, I realized, wow, it actually is possible to find a job. It's not as hard as I thought it was. It's just I let my stubbornness and frustration get in the way.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, what was really admirable about his process, which we'll talk about in just a second, this guy actually refused some interviews because he realized after going through the Pink Collar Online process that time management is huge, and you don't want to waste your time interviewing or applying for jobs that really aren't in alignment with what you're looking for, whether it's culture, your values, you know, whatever your individual brand happens to be. And I saw that growth in you, which just made my heart smile on the inside. And I was just delighted that you were able to make that decision really without me prodding you. You know, you just sort of knew after a while.
I learned that it takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of patience, and it takes some persistence. You can't give up, and that's the problem. I think you really need to have positive energy, and you have to use the momentum. And that's easier said than done, because we all live very busy lives now. And, you know, we don't have children, but if you do have children or you have other pressures, I mean, do the math. You have 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep, right? but you're working a job, you have family, you have sports, all these other things. And if you don't devote at least an hour or a half hour or just time management and strategize, you're not going to find a new job. It doesn't just happen. You have to go for it. You have to do it.
Right.
And what the positive thing is, when you go through the program lets you maximize that 1 hour of your time and actually do something with it. It's not a half hour wasted. It's not messing around on the computer. You've got a worksheet. You have your thoughts organized. You know, you got your keywords. So you actually feel productive as you're going through the search. And as you're being productive, that kind of decreases your stress levels. It decreases the frustration. And it actually makes it fun. I mean, that sounds strange, but it actually is more fun to be looking for a career versus frustrating. And I think that's what helped me the most.
Yeah.
As I thought as a just negative, like, here we go, I'm about to get rejected 100 more times, like I already have. And you have to leave the past behind you and move forward. I think that's the key. You have to move forward. Forget about the rejection. Time spent in the rejection is just a wasted emotion.
Right.
You have to focus on the positive. And then that positive, it will reflect in your interviews, and they will see the positive energy in you. And when you get there, you're much more likely to get the position because you are portraying confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, that was very wordy, but that's what it is.
No, I mean, that's your, your experience. And I think it's great for you to share that with our audience who might be feeling something similar, who might be feeling like maybe they're the only ones that are going through that. But, as we both know, you and I went through the same thing. So let's talk a little bit about how he did it, because this is what makes me it blows my mind. This is really what makes me super, super happy. Adam didn't even go through any of the paid services through Pink Collar Online. He went through what I call the value add worksheet. And this is something that I've made available to everybody free of charge. And this value add worksheet, it takes some time to fill in, but it starts the ball rolling in how you want to approach your career and your search, and also addressing some of the tough questions about yourself, because you may not even know how you feel or what you want. And the value add worksheet starts to map that out for you, so you can feel a little bit more confident and armed with information about yourself and the value that you can add to your employer. So talk about the value add worksheet. What did that do for you?
Well, basically, it let me put my thoughts about finding my job into an organized form, and it made me think about it. And I'm kind of a scattered person sometimes. That's just who I am. But I couldn't procrastinate. Procrastination is human nature, right? For me, applying for a job is going downstairs, clicking the apply button, going to Indeed or going to LinkedIn, having my cup of coffee, but how long did it take me to actually start looking and applying for a job? It took a long time. I hadn't thought about it very well. But with the worksheet, you have a starting point. You can put your notes down, you can write, you can think about what you want. So you can kind of focus your energy.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't even talk to him until he filled out this value add worksheet, because I know how valuable this is. This worksheet gets you organized. It is something that I would have him refer back to. I'd say, visit your value add worksheet. Does that job reflect your value add worksheet? And I actually learned a lot about you from what you put in here. I mean, being married, you sort of think, a little bit about, you're supposed to know your spouse really, really well. But I actually learned a lot from what he put in here. And I think this worksheet helped you write cover letters, helped you with your resume, and we know that this helped you with your interview. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'll be honest, this is the most important thing about the worksheet. Basically, is I found out that I had an interview and I had no time to prepare. I had about a day. The whole job process is stressful. Interviews are even more stressful because you've come so far. You've made it past 100 no's and you've got a possible yes. So you're going to be anxious. You're going to have some anxiety when you're there. You're also excited. I think you're just kind of a bundle of emotions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's one goal: get the job. Portray your best self. Show that you do have the qualifications and you are ready for this position. And the value add worksheet really helped me because I already knew my 3 keywords. I knew what I was looking for. I knew I had the skills. I knew I deserved to be in that room. Right? So you have the confidence. And a little more backstory. I had an opportunity with like 3 time slots for my interview. And I said, I don't want the one on Friday because I'm tired. I was working till over 8 p.m. on Thursday. I was not ready for an interview. I was frazzled. But guess what? It happened on a Friday, and I had no choice.
Everybody meet Jack. All right, continue.
Hi, Jack. So I was a little nervous, but when I got to the interview and I got all dressed up and everything, I remembered that I had prepared. This wasn't like the first time. I felt like I've already gone through the interview because I had done the cover letter. I had gone through the worksheet. I had done the keywords. I had looked at my skills. So the amount of practice it took, I already did the practice. So when I showed up for the interview, I just got to enjoy it and not stress about it. I got to interview them a little bit and see, do I actually want to work here? I wasn't so focused on the anxiety of the process. I was able to, use the interview for what it's for. Meet my employer. Do I actually want to work here? Is it a good environment to work? And that's what's really important. So that's how it helped me a lot.
Yeah. I can't even tell you when he walked through the door and told me that he just rocked the interview, and he knew it too. Like he was confident. He's like, I did this. And the first thing out of his mouth after that was, it was the value add worksheet. And this is a free resource. This is something I provide to anybody who wants to use it, because like I said earlier, want to take the agony out of the career search. There's a lot more that goes into it. And over time, we really want to start looking at personal branding. We want to start focusing on, other topics to help you develop and grow. But this thing within 6 weeks got him hired. And I mean, that's incredible. I'm so proud. And it made me feel happy that this is really working for the people who are filling it in and participating and getting, an idea about what they want and a workplace and the goals and the things that are important to them. So if
I can interject, it works. I mean, that's, I wasn't stubborn. I went through it. It works. And, I was talking about the interview. I was so nervous because I went through 3 little mini interviews. I forgot one of my keywords in the first interview. It's just anxiety. It's part of the process. Yeah. But, I mean, can you imagine how nerve-wracking it can be if you don't prepare and you just go? I mean, you just can't remember anything. Your mind goes blank and it's like you just freeze. But if you freeze an interview, that's the energy they see. They see someone that isn't prepared. They see someone that's not confident. Right. So you have to have confidence. And I mean, that's what gave me the confidence, that little piece of paper.
Yeah. So, I mean, results are what matter, and he's really living proof of the concepts that we have at pinkcollaronline.com, our mission, our values, our coaching, our strategies, really reflected in your experience. And even though you're my husband, I mean, he supports me regardless of what I do as my spouse, but I think coming at it from a different perspective of treating him like a client and sitting down with him and asking those tough questions and having those hard conversations and being receptive to what I had to say, that to me shows that he took it seriously, and it ended up working. So I mean, nice job. Fabulous. I mean, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I mean, the whole process, it took me 8 hours of work. Yeah. Total. To go through the worksheet, I was applying for jobs every weekend, but I mean, 8 hours of total work, including the interview, and I found my dream job. Yeah. Now, of course, you have to have skills, and you have to be confident, and you have to apply for the right jobs, and you have to be ready for a lot of rejection. I mean, I had already done the heavy lifting before for 2 years. Yeah. this is just what let me put all that heavy lifting into practice. I'm like, hey, I've done this.
Yeah.
You know, finding a job is a skill as well. It's a class they don't teach in college. There's no finding a job 101.
Right.
You know, and I mean, if you already have a great job, then I guess you don't need this. But if you want to explore new opportunities, it doesn't hurt to try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me, with everybody out there. I think it's really admirable that you were able to take a hard situation, something that's very mentally taxing, that took about 2 years to manifest, and then be open to another option. You know, maybe there's someone out there that can help me. Maybe there's something that I can change about my approach. And that really is a very admirable quality in you. So thank you. Thank you, baby, for sharing. I love you too. I don't kiss all my clients, I swear.